If you're someone that travels often, airport lounge access is one of the best ways to save on small bites, coffee, and drinks. Depending on the lounge and your mood, sometimes full-on meals. Even if you have elite status, that might not get you into lounges. For example, right now I have Premier 1K of United, which is their top public level. In order for me to get access to their lounges of elite status, I would need a same-day boarding pass for travel on an international flight. Domestic flights do not count. With business class, you run into a similar problem where most flights don't count. In this case, it needs to be international or transcontinental, let's say New York to LA or San Francisco. As much as I love traveling abroad, most of my flights are for work and domestic. I don't seem to be alone there. Looking at data for flights departing from the US for 2025, yes, the top route is New York to London, but the remaining 9 are domestic. Many are short haul like New York to Chicago, LA to Vegas, or SFO to LA. If you want lounge access, your best bet isn't getting elite status, it's either buying a membership or getting a credit card with access. Today, we're going to run through all of Chase's cards that get you lounge access. We'll dive into which ones I'd consider, the ones you might want to avoid, and pretty much everything I wish I was told. Big favor, give this a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you know someone that might benefit, then share this with them. First up, we have the Chase Sapphire Reserve. This used to be very good, and then bad, and now I'd argue good again. You have a few different tools at your disposal. The big key one though is a Priority Pass Select membership. Access is for you and up to 2 guests at lounges. Priority Pass is pretty controversial. In the US, it's very airport dependent, and a lot of airports don't even have options. Even the ones that do tend to be just okay. I usually treat these as pit stops, so for the morning, drink a coffee or two, and then use the restroom. Most have attendance, meaning that it's a lot cleaner. For lunch and dinner, it's hit or miss, but typically a good way to hit your protein numbers. I go to Asia a lot, and I find their lounges a lot better. It does depend obviously, but usually more authentic food and a great way to rinse off before a 12-hour flight. I'd argue that the value of the Chase Sapphire Reserve isn't Priority Pass itself, but Chase Sapphire lounges by the club. If you're in New York, they have options in LGA and JFK, and pretty solid coverage on the East Coast with Boston and Philly as well. Also Washington IAD, which is technically an Etihad lounge. Central you have Dallas, and then on the West Coast you have Vegas and Phoenix, and then even more west you have San Diego, and LAX is coming soon. The Vegas one recently opened and reviews look pretty solid with good restaurant level food. For example, Momofuku pork buns that taste the same as the actual store in the Cosmopolitan. This is one of my go-to items in Momofuku, so that's already $18, and I could probably down a few orders if I wasn't adding a ramen. Back to the lounge, chicken and waffles also sound good given the reviews. Obviously, it depends on how much you eat, but if it is restaurant level food, that's pretty solid to me. On top of this, you have access to Air Canada lounges when flying any Star Alliance carrier, for example United, which makes it surprisingly valuable. Again, I have been flying United a lot more this year, since they have almost a 50% market share for SFO, making it the only choice for some destinations. The Air Canada lounge in SFO is solid, and generally regarded to be one of the best ones out there. If your home airport has a Sapphire lounge, or you're in a United hub with a good Air Canada option, I think this is well worth considering. If you're debating the card, I'd recommend running the numbers for your situation. If you want to play with this calculator, search Chase Sapphire Reserve, worth it AskSebby, and it should pop up. On a side note, if you are someone that wants to learn about cards, whether this one or pretty much any other card out there, and you want to support the channel, we have links on the website AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, that they make sense for you, but otherwise it's a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. Next up is the Chase Sapphire Reserve for Business, which is pretty much exactly the same. Just a business version in this case. Depending on your spend and the multipliers and the credits, this one might make more sense for some people. The Ritz-Carlton Credit Card is interesting. You have the same Priority Pass membership, and starting this year they are dropping it from unlimited guests to 2 free guests. Even though that sounds bad, it's arguably a non-factor. The main reason being that you can add authorized users for no additional cost. Authorized users get their own Priority Pass membership. Let's say you're a family of 5, you can just add player 2. Most families are unaffected. The ones impacted are large friend groups who don't otherwise have access. Think one person bring in 10 friends. Lounge crowding is a huge problem, so this feels like a reasonable change. One big thing to note though is that this card does not provide access to Air Canada lounges in the same way as the Chase Sapphire Reserve. So it might be a negative or a skip on that front. If you value Maple Leaf lounges, then that's an argument for the first 2 cards. For Chase Sapphire lounges and Priority Pass broadly, this is worth considering. You are swapping a ton of credits for a potentially tougher one, and also a free night certificate, meaning that you have to stay at a mid-level or luxury Marriott at least once per year. Next up is the United Explorer card. Here you get 2 United Club one-time passes every year. It sounds good on the surface, but I have a lot of reservations about recommending it. I'm probably also a bit biased. For my home airport of SFO, United Clubs are a mess. They almost always have the sign saying that they're not taking one-time passes out in front. I would not expect to get in unless you're going during off hours or you're at a non-hub. But otherwise for hubs, all the consultants and corporate travelers that fly every week have to fly United, so they end up getting club access. If you don't travel often, and if you only travel during holidays or during other busy times, then these might end up being unusable. It's not that they're not useful, but just very tough. For the United Business Card, pretty much the same idea, where you get 2 United Club one-time passes every year. Non-zero chance that you run into the same wall. To be fair, the card isn't bad, but I would just discount the one-time passes. Nearing the finish line, we have the United Club card. This one's interesting. The big draw here is that it comes with a United Club membership. The membership is the same as the one you'd get if you bought it outright. For the individual membership, you're looking at $750. This card has a $695 annual fee, so already $55 cheaper. Buying the membership, it's just a membership, that's it. On the other hand, the card comes with credits. Some of them are annoying and I don't really use, like Instacart, but I do use the up to 200 for renowned hotels and resorts, and also the up to 150 for rideshare. That's $350 in credits that are tangible, and even if you discount them, the net number is still cheaper than buying a membership outright. That's before considering other perks you might get value from, like free first and second checked bag, especially if you don't have elite status. Super useful for skiing or if you're lugging stuff for a conference. If you were buying a membership anyways, you might as well get the card instead for a lower net number. There is a very valid question of whether the membership's worth it and what you should value it at. That depends on the number of visits you make and also your next best alternatives. On my end, I generally don't like United Clubs, especially compared to the bank ones and the nicer Priority Pass ones. I find that United doesn't really do crowd control for club members. I guess the benefit is that there's no wait list and you can grab a bite or a coffee to go, and that's fine. I've watched a fair share of United Clubs that are actually standing room only. People complain about the bank ones having lines, but often the goal is to keep it so that it's one person to a table that sits 2. Note that United Club memberships, whether bought or from the card, counts as a paid lounge membership for Star Alliance purposes. This means that you have access to a lot of additional business class lounges that include Air Canada Maple Leaf lounges. You also have access with any class of travel, even economy, and you also get a guest. Not relevant on my end, but it works even if you're non-revenue, so you're an employee or family, and that's a big departure from a lot of bank ones. The one caveat is that international is a bag of worms. Especially for Lufthansa lounges, you can be completely in the right and they can make up additional terms. You are dealing with humans that might not know the terms and don't bother checking. Funny enough, last time we were in Japan, the A&A agent wanted to charge for an extra checked bag flying from Tokyo to Sapporo. Even though we had Star Alliance Gold at the time, and it's a stated perk, they were also a trainee and insistent that I was wrong. I had to pull up my phone and cite stuff for them to make an exception, and only one time and not in the future. I guess I could have argued more, but once I rightfully don't have to pay, I don't really care. Last up is the United Club Business Card that works in the same way. You get a club membership, and everything we talked about for the purpose of this video is exactly the same. The one difference is that annual fees for business cards are generally tax deductible if solely used for your business or if you prorate out the percentage. This makes it a bit cheaper for business owners, which is nice. Note that the IRS does not otherwise allow you to deduct club dues or membership fees. So this makes the business card even cheaper compared to buying a membership. But yeah, overall, lots of different options depending on your focus and what you're optimizing for. I think they all can make sense. It just depends on you. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, AskSebby.com, and also down below in the description box. And if you're curious, all legal affiliate disclosures can also be found below in the description box. If you made it to this point, leave a whiskey or technically tumbler glass emoji in the comments down below, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions. Number 1, how would you rank these cards? Number 2, what's your favorite Chase Sapphire or Priority Pass lounge? Lastly, what's your most memorable lounge experience? I think for me, it had to be Dallas. If I remember correctly, it was during the Great Texas Freeze or one of the freezes. Our flight got delayed by a few hours and I ended up just eating at the lounge and randomly playing chess with someone. If I'm stuck in an airport for 6 hours anyways, I might as well do it in a lounge where I get complimentary cocktails and snacks. I feel like most restaurants would kick you out after 15 minutes of not eating.